On the 2nd of June 1948, a horrific and sadistic SS officer made his way to the gallows inside of Landsberg Prison. He was flanked by a number of American military policemen, who ensured he made his way up to the execution structure to be handed over to the executioner. Rudolf Brandt was a man who was condemned following the doctor's trial at Nuremberg at the end of the Second World War, and some of the crimes he was accused of were completely shocking, and he was involved in collecting the skulls of a number of prisoners of concentration camps. He was a man who was an ardent Nazi, and he was very well regarded by Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, but within minutes of entering the execution courtyard, Rudolf Brandt was sent crashing through the trapdoor. But what crimes did he do during the conflict, which was so terrible and horrific? Welcome to The Untold Past. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Rudolf Brandt was born on the 2nd of June 1909 inside of Frankfurt, and he was the son of a man who worked on the railways. He had a normal upbringing and had different interests, but he was noted for being able to transcribe letters and items very quickly, and he was seen for this as a keen administrator. He went to the University of Berlin and worked as a court reporter before he was awarded a doctorate of law, but at the time Hitler was rising to power and the Nazi Party membership was also growing heavily. Rudolf Brandt was attracted to this, and he then joined in January 1932, and he also then joined the SS. But because of the speed of his transcription, Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, noticed this skill, and Brandt was then transferred to work for the head of the SS himself. He joined the staff of the Reichsführer SS working as a clerk, and he rose throughout the different ranks of the paramilitary organisation. Rudolf Brandt was then in 1936 made the chief of the personal staff of Heinrich Himmler, and he held this position until the end of the Second World War. Brandt also struck up a very close friendship with Himmler, and he accompanied him on a number of visits and state occasions. One of the most important jobs that Brandt was responsible for was the handling of Himmler's letters and correspondence, and he dealt with inbound letters, but also letters which went out. He may have personally transcribed letters relating to the final solution, and also orders that led to the slaughter of thousands of people inside of occupied lands during the Second World War. One SD chief, who also reported to Himmler, wrote of Rudolf Brandt's work that, because of his ability as a perfect stenographer, his punctuality, his untiring diligence, he became Himmler's convenient and omnipresent registering, reminding and writing machine, complaining about being overworked, and on the other hand declaring with pride that he had to produce 3,000 to 4,000 outgoing letters per year. Brandt would begin work at 7 in the morning, no matter what time he had gone to bed the night before. 3 or 4 hours of sleep was sufficient for him. As soon as Himmler had risen in the morning and washed, Brandt would go to him loaded with papers and files, and whilst Himmler shaved he would read him the most important items of the morning's mail. If there was bad news, Brandt would preface it by saying, "Pardon, Herr Reichsführer," and thus forewarned, Himmler would temporarily suspend his shaving operations, a precautionary measure to prevent cutting himself. Brandt was certainly most important. He was the eyes and ears of his master, and the manner in which he presented a matter to Himmler was often of decisive importance. He also served as Himmler's liaison officer to the Reich Ministry of the Interior, and he rose throughout different governmental organisational positions, and later became the head of the minister's office in the Ministry of the Interior. He was also part of the Historical Society of the Anna Nerba, who went hunting for artefacts such as the Holy Grail, and also they ordered research into Thor's hammer that Himmler believed if the Nazis possessed it, then they could defeat anything that their enemies had on the battlefield. He did also see action on the front lines of the war, serving in an artillery regiment within Greece. One of the most shocking crimes that Rudolf Brandt was involved in was the collection of a set of remains of Jewish people during the Second World War. A collection of remains were ordered to be obtained from Red Army commissars who were Jewish on the Eastern Front. However, this was then changed to 115 Jewish prisoners of Auschwitz. The Jewish skulls and skeletal remains were then to form an exhibition inside of Germany. The selections of the victims were chosen and they were quarantined. Wolfram Sievers, who was involved in ordering many military experiments inside the concentration camps, submitted a report which Rudolf Brandt wrote, and this was harrowing. This report, typed up by Brandt, claimed, "We have a nearly complete collection of skulls of all races and peoples at our disposal. Only very few specimens of skulls of the Jewish race, however, are available, with the result that it is impossible to arrive at precise conclusions from examining them. The war in the East now presents us with the opportunity to overcome this deficiency. The best practical method for obtaining and collecting this skull material could be handled by directing the Wehrmacht to turn over, alive, all captured Jewish Bolshevik commissars to the field police. They in turn are to be given special directives to inform a certain office at regular intervals of the number and place of detention of these captured Jews, and to give them special close attention and care until a special delegate arrives. The delegate will separate the head from the body and will forward it to its proper point of destination in a hermetically sealed tin can, especially produced for this purpose and filled with a conserving fluid. Having arrived at the laboratory, the comparison tests and anatomical research on the skull, as well as determination of the race membership, of pathological features of the skull form, the form and size of the brain, etc., can proceed. The basis of these studies will be the photos, measurements, and other data supplied on the head, and finally the tests of the skull itself. But Rudolf Brandt, as the Second World War turned against the Germans, was part of Heinrich Himmler's entourage, who tried to evade capture. They travelled from Flensburg on the 10th of May 1945, but Brandt was at some point separated from Himmler, who was in disguise, and he would give himself up to the British on the 21st of May. However, following this, Brandt was then brought to the doctor's trial, and he was accused of a number of charges, including war crimes and crimes against humanity, as well as being a member of a criminal organisation, as in the SS. But he was acquitted of the first charge of conspiracy to commit war crimes and crimes against humanity, but he was linked to the organisation of experiments inside the concentration camps, and because of this he was sentenced to death. Rudolf Brandt was inside of Landsberg Prison, an American-occupied prison, and he was then held under lock and key for some time. He was held alongside other Nazi war criminals, but on the 2nd of June 1948, on his 39th birthday, Brandt was informed that he would be executed imminently. He was led into the courtyard of the prison by a number of American military policemen, who ensured that he was handed over swiftly to the executioner. He was led up the steps of the gallows, and was then in the custody of the executioner. He placed a black cap over Rudolf Brandt's head, and he then secured the noose around his neck, before quickly releasing the trapdoor, and within a number of minutes, Brandt was declared dead. Rudolf Brandt was a man who was seen as a ruthless administrator by Heinrich Himmler, and he was very close to the head of the SS. He served as Himmler's personal administrative officer, and by dictating letters and also carrying out orders, he had a very intricate knowledge of the crimes of the concentration camps and of the SS, and some of his orders even led to the appropriation of a set of Jewish skulls to be displayed, and Brandt's orders did result in the deaths of thousands. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.